F1, directed by Joe Kasinski, the same filmmaker who directed Top Gun Maverick, maybe the best movie of 2021, returns with this film, and that's the real selling point for me. I know that some people have made jokes that this is basically a remake of Days of Thunder, and I don't know if I would go that far, but I will tell you there are a lot of similarities between this F1 movie and Top Gun. There's lots of similarities. Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes, who is a experienced, older, seasoned race car driver, and a lot like Maverick is a hot shot who bends the rules to do explosive things and is very dangerous on the track despite being so good at what he does. He is very much like Maverick in that sense. Brad Pitt, I think he reignites that sort of bad boy energy that he had in some of his previous movies. And once again, it's going to be hard to find a bad performance from Brad Pitt. This one fits right in. When Ruben Cervantes, played masterfully by the great Javier Bardem, finds Sonny Hayes alone down on his luck in a laundromat, he offers him a shot to come back and race Formula one more time. And as the movie progresses, we come to find out more about Sonny's backstory and Ruben, and we find out that these guys were very, very prolific Formula One racers in the 90s. This is a film much like Top Gun Maverick, where we've got an older character who has to work with a cast of younger racers to, sharpen their skills. But what ends up happening, of course, is a rivalry. Damson Idris plays Joshua Pierce. This is the guy who's the head driver for Ruben Cervantes' team, and he ends up creating this rivalry with Sonny Hayes, and by the end, of course, they end up figuring out that they can bring the best out of each other. I wouldn't go so far as to say he's like Rooster or even Goose, but I will say that he plays the part well, and he kind of reminds me, as far as his attitude goes, he reminds me of Mason Dixon from Rocky Balboa. He's got a real similar vibe. Carrie Condon plays Kate McKenna, who is the lead technician behind the team that Ruben runs, and she ends up being like the love interest for Brad Pitt. So I really like this movie. I liked it a lot. In fact, I'm going to put it right underneath Sinners as far as my favorite movies I've seen of the year so far in theaters. I would put it right there so far. Now, there are things that I did not like about the movie, and I'm going to tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, and then kind of give you an idea of whether or not you should go see this movie. I think the vast majority of people on this channel, my audience, would get a kick out of this. I want to let you know that I was never into like NASCAR or Formula One, like watching it on TV. I was never into it. I maybe saw a couple races when I was a kid, because I love the cars. I used to have the Matchbox cars and the Hot Wheels, and I had a whole bunch of these little like metallic cars, and I loved them. I don't even know what my parents did with them, but I was always a fan of just the way that Formula One cars looked and the idea of driving at those insane speeds. And one of the things that Kasinski chooses to do in this movie, much like Top Gun Maverick, is he puts you right in there in the driver's seat, literally, so you can feel how it is to be an actual Formula One driver. This movie has mounted cameras and camera angles and shots that are really rapid, really fast, and it feels like a roller coaster ride. If you're gonna go see this movie, I recommend seeing it in IMAX, Dolby, or even 4DX if you can, because this is the type of movie that needs a big screen for you to really appreciate, just everything. And just like with Top Gun Maverick, Kasinski brings in real F1 drivers to help shoot these scenes. And let me tell you, there's a lot more races in the movie than I thought. I mean, there's a ton of races in the film. They really gave you a lot of bang for your buck. The movie's about 2.5 hours, and we got a lot of racing action sequences. Many of them were just thrilling. Like, it was great. And that's something that Kasinski, I think, is really good at. All of the actors that I mentioned, I mean, you've got a cast with people like Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem. You're going to have them elevate the entire film. Now, what I would say is a bit of a con is, like I mentioned earlier, the plot of this movie does not reinvent the wheel. No pun intended. The movie's predictable in a way. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we've seen movies like this. I compared it earlier to Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick because not just the same director and the same style of movie and the same sort of, focus on realism and on bringing the audience into that driver's seat, but also the fact that the characters are similar caricatures to what we've seen in hundreds of other movies. It's another one of these stories that's like a sports drama, underdog tale in a way, where, Bardem's team are the lovable losers and they need to work together to become winners. Again, we've seen this before. I don't hate it because we're going to see it again. The important thing is, how did they execute it? And I thought in this movie they executed it very, very well. And that's why I can tell you that I like this movie a lot and I think you should go see it. Also, I learned a lot from watching this movie because one of the things that they do here in this script written by Aaron Kruger, who also wrote a bunch of the Transformers movies, which is not really a good thing because those movies kind of suck. But they also wrote the American version of The Ring, and those are good movies. But in this movie, they focus a lot on, like, I learned a lot of the technical sides of being a Formula One driver. Like, going into it, I didn't understand the importance of getting your tires swapped out and the heat that builds up in the tires and certain techniques about turning corners. The movie, I don't think it gets too technical to where you can't follow it, but it does sort of teach you that Formula One racing, or racing as a whole, professional racing, is not as simple as just turning left for 50 laps or whatever. That is not what this is. There's much more to it. And it's really a big team effort. The whole team has to help, and there's strategy. And you learn in this movie like a lot about racing strategy and how a team can put together a technique or a series of moves to help their cars get higher placements in races. And again, this is stuff that I went into it not really having much of an education on, and I came out learning more. And I'm not saying I'm going to become a fan of NASCAR overnight, but now I kind of want to watch maybe a documentary or two about racing because it sort of opened my eyes to that, and how interesting that, like, it is to be on a team of race car drivers and the danger that comes with it. So I think most of you, because if I remember correctly, most of you liked Top Gun Maverick and movies like that. Most of you are going to like this movie. I would recommend go see it. Go see it on the biggest screen you can. Bring a date, bring your friends. I don't think it's as good as Sinners, like, especially with the second half, but it's enjoyable and a fun movie and a well-made movie, and you're going to appreciate it more when you see it on the big screen. That's it. Those are my thoughts. No spoilers, just, but you can kind of figure out where it goes. Leave a comment if you have not seen the film. No, I'm sorry. Leave a comment if you have seen the film, and if you haven't seen it, don't read the comment section till you do, because there might be spoilers there. But leave a comment with your thoughts on F1, and I'm out. Take care.